Wham! Talk 1600. You're catching the drift. Conservative talk. Intelligent conversations on local, state, and national issues with Gary Wellings, chief editor of the Current newspaper and Current Online. Join in the conversation at 734-822-1600. And now, your host, Gary Wellings.
And good Saturday afternoon. Thanks for tuning in to catch our drift. Joining me in studio, Ipsy Ed Bonderenka.
Co-hosting, not hosting this
Co-hosting,
week.
that's right. My indubitable. Is that the right word? I don't even know. I'm making things up.
Impeccable
right?
was last
impeccable.
week. Then I found out what impeccable means. It means without sin.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I found that out
slightly
by
different.
accident.
Well, there you go. I better get my dictionary back out. Well, it's good to be back. Thank you for taking care of the things
Good to have
over
you
the
back.
last 2 weeks.
The pressure was just getting too much.
Was it?
Yeah.
The pressure was off me, man. I had a good 2 weeks off. I was traveling. Well, actually, last week I was supposed to travel on Sunday, which I did. Big 13-hour drive, right? But Saturday I had to get the boat in the water and get a million things done before I could. So thank you for, I know I kind of last minute you, right? Yeah, but it was all right. And then the week before I saw my friend Barbie, and she showed me a good time down in Maryland, so it was very nice. So shout out to her for showing me a good time. And Ocean City, Maryland, great place. Great seafood, too, so it was awesome.
Excellent.
So a couple of weeks off, nice. I might have to do it more often. It's nice not coming in and doing a Saturday show, you know, a little time off.
It's your audience, man. Think of your audience.
I know. I felt a little guilty. I wanted to even call in, but I'm like, you know what, I'm not.
You're going to stick us with Ed again? What?
I'm out. No,
You're going to hear
guys
that
did a great
music,
job.
that Pavlovian music that I said, you know, when you hear that, doom, 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 you know, a good show's coming up. They're not going to associate with a good show if you keep taking off.
If you keep. Well, what we do every Saturday on The Drift is go over the news that we put on thedailydrift.com. It's
the news you need to know.
Yeah, thank you very much. And that's what we do every week. So I put the time and effort in, folks. Go to thedailydrift.com, please. If you're out there listening right now, just Google it. Thedailydrift.com.
Yeah,
put it in your search bar. Okay, so got a lot of stuff to talk about, but let us mention, I think it's Kentucky Derby Day, 144th running.
I heard,
Yeah, you know, it seems odd. And then
Who's
I was
favored?
talking. I have no idea.
Derek?
I'm not. Derek. Who's favored to win the Kentucky Derby today? Derek will look that up. But it's also Cinco de Mayo. And I was telling Pastor Rick, I don't know if it's me or what. I watch a lot of television, right? Mm-hmm. And most years, Cinco de Mayo comes around with a lot of fanfare. Tequila, beer, Mexican food, the whole 9 yards. I haven't seen hardly any this year. Is it me, or have you? Have you seen it?
No, but I don't pay attention to that. So
okay, well, I like to party. I like a margarita. I drink Corona beer. You know, I'm culturally appropriating the Corona and the tequila, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what assimilation's all about?
Well, you know, about 3 years ago, I was doing some front yard work. I was trimming hedges, mowing the lawn, and I was listening to you and Brandon going back and forth, you know. And that's when it struck me that I consider myself Mexican now. I self-identify as Hispanic. I like doing landscaping around the yard. That, you know, I realize that's cultural approbation, but then I have relatives named Rodriguez. So I thought of all the benefits I could get if I just self-identify as Mexican now. And so I'm celebrating Cinco de Mayo, man.
Dude,
Mayo, how am I supposed to pronounce
that? If you
that?
adjusted your mustache a little bit, you could pass for an older Hispanic gentleman.
See, the most interesting.
I'm cultural. You know what? Well, with a middle name like me, Miles, right?
There you go.
No, it's Miles. But yes, I mean, allegedly, when I do the background, the family thing, supposedly there's some Hispanic way back on one side of our family. I don't know. I'm not, until I do the 23andMe, I'm not believing it, right? Which I'm not doing.
What don't you want to know?
I don't want anyone to know, because I think those 23 companies, I think they
sell the stuff too.
Sell that information, just like Facebook, right? And then they're going to know all about me and my history and genetic history, and the next thing you know, my insurance is going up.
Yep, selling you meds. You know, people with your background should be taking,
Yeah, right, well, there you go. Well, thanks for tuning in. If you want to call into the show, 734-822-1600, or you can email me, Gary at thedailydrift.com, and email your comments in, and we can read them on the air. And Joe from Wyandotte is reading my mind again. So let's take a call from Joe. Joe, welcome to the show.
So Oh, good. I'm glad I was reading your mind again.
Scary in there, isn't it?
It's a shame you missed last week because we had a bit of the tinfoil hat conspiracy stuff going on.
What? What did I miss?
What was last week?
But, I don't celebrate Cinco de Mayo. I celebrate Cinco as in Sinko de Prep 1 Day. Remember, this is the anniversary of the defeat of Prop 1.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's not what I was calling about, but since you brought up Cinco de Mayo, I always celebrate Cinco de Prop 1 Day.
Right.
I prefer Cuatro de Julio.
And we need to celebrate this anniversary every year by calling our legislators and telling them we will not forget that they passed that crap on us anyway.
Right.
We will hold them accountable. But, I was calling for an article on the Daily Drift.
The claims of rising poverty simply aren't true. And I wanted to start with this.
Absolutely.
I wanted to start with this because you know what, folks? It is election year, right? 2018 will be here. November will be here. November is coming, right? Remember the shirts? I still got mine. November is coming, and this is the chance we have as Michiganders to get rid of Debbie Stabenow. So I don't care if you're supporting John James or Sandy Pensler or Bob Carr. Support them, talk about them. We'll see who comes out in the primary. We must get rid of Debbie Stabenow, period.
Hey, Joe, what do you know about Bob Carr's lawsuit? Is he following up yet?
I don't know any further information about that.
I haven't seen anything.
And for Gary, that's part of the conspiracy going around.
Well, if he doesn't move fast, support's going to slide quick.
Hold on. I'm lost.
You didn't listen to last week's show, did you?
I did not. Bring me to speed.
Bob Carr did not turn in his petitions on time. The previous week, I'd asked Joe, why hasn't he turned in his petitions? And Joe said, well, he's going to turn them at the last minute for publicity reasons. Well, it seems like these guys depend on petition collection firms, all right? And it looks like his petitions did not get turned in by the petition collection firm.
Oh, no.
On time. And
really?
He thinks he got sandbagged and that it's part of a conspiracy, and he refuses to say anything about it except he's going to overturn it in court. It's affected a number of candidates. It's not just him, but it's Bob Carr. So that's
okay.
That's going to be overturned. Anything else on that, Joe? Did I miss something?
No. Then the other aspect of that was the supposed potential Sandy Pensler Brian Kelly.
But you wanted to keep those two things separate when you called in last week, and I didn't. Yeah. But I think they are. I think they are connected.
Yeah, Bob Carr seems to think Sandy Pensler may be behind. He didn't say this outright, but that's kind of the gist I get. And the Yob group somehow involved in all of this.
Yeah. But Pensler and Kelly petitions, which are one's federal and one's state, got mixed together. So it violates some FEC rules. The Yob organization kind of screwed that up. But whether they were involved with Carr's deal or not,
we
Carr's
don't
not saying.
know. Yeah. And that's not our conspiracy. That is I can't remember the guy's name who filed the FEC official complaint against the Pensler campaign for potential campaign finance law violation due to the petition thing, whether or not he paid for it, or if all the money came out of Callie's campaign, would be the potential conspiracy there. But
Could leave John James standing.
About the rising poverty thing, because Coleman Young II, Lord knows what he'll be running for next in an op-ed with the Traverse City
and so Joe,
people.
here's the reason I wanted to bring this up. These are the lies that the left put out. This is what the Democrats do. They're lie. And Senator Coleman Young II, the second out of Detroit, is claimed in April in an op-ed in the Traverse City Record-Eagle that more people in Michigan have fallen into poverty during the tenure of Governor Rick Snyder. That is a lie. That is a lie, Mr. Young. You should be ashamed of yourself. You are a liar. Because right there, Michigan Capital Confidential, for the record, Michigan's poverty rate was 17.5% in 2011, the year Snyder took office. The poverty was 13.2% in 2005 when Jennifer Granholm was in office, right?
Right, it went way up under the lost decade of Granholm.
Yes.
It's back down to 15% as of 2016, the last year of record. Now, while that number is not something to jump up and down and scream about, it is evidence that we need to move further right with a Patrick Colbeck and not a return lurch leftward to a Granholm-style Al Sayed, Sri Tanadar, or Gretchen Whitmer.
Yeah. And I think that's the point I'm trying to make. You know what, folks? Don't buy the Gretchen Whitmer thing. Oh, we've had 8 years of Rhino Rick. It's time to go Democrat again. Don't do it. Don't make that mistake.
I thought Snyder was Granholm. Did something change?
Look, Rhino Rick, you can say whatever you want about him. He was better than Granholm, period.
Yeah,
but
I'm no major fan of
I think
Rick.
Callie and definitely Schuette are not the guys we need. We need Patrick Colbeck. That's where I'm putting my effort. I'm hoping.
Absolutely.
I'm praying for Patrick. And if we can go with a real solid Republican who has solutions, folks, look at Patrick Colbeck's website. He's got solutions. The other guys don't. It's just more of the same old elitist Republican garbage. Don't buy it. Look at Patrick Colbeck. Do your homework and vote for him and support him and campaign for him. Trust me on this.
Right.
Okay?
We need more pro-growth right-wing policies to get more people jobs and or opportunities at better jobs to lower that poverty rate, not more government-structured handout.
Yes, exactly. All right, Joe. Well, great call. I appreciate it, man.
All right, take care, guys.
All right,
See you,
take
Joe.
care. All right, so and one other thing on before we move on, we already wasted way more time than I wanted to on this.
Joe does that.
Well,
the Joe
so
show.
there's a lawsuit that Sri Tanadar, the super progressive Democrat candidate, has allegedly brought against. I don't know if it was a Secretary of State or whatever. They've left Abdul Isa, whatever his name is, the other Democrat. He's registered in New York and hasn't spent the appropriate amount of time as a Michigan elector.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
And so I think he's fighting for that far left, right? Mm-hmm. So he wants to get Syed out so he can garner those votes, which would put him in a position to maybe beat Gretchen Whitmer, right? If he's pulling all the far left, because Gretchen Whitmer is going to play up as a moderate Democrat, even though she's as left as they come too.
Yeah, but after his kerfluffle with the animals, like we talked about on last week's show.
Did you just use the word kerfuffle?
Kerfuffle. Yes.
Kerfuffle.
Yes.
I like that word.
Thank you.
It's pretty.
I heard it as a kid.
And it stuck with you,
when
obviously.
the dinosaurs were chasing us, somebody said, Dad, I think it was Dad said, what a kerfuffle.
Let's take a quick call from Ken who wants to mention something about Cinco de Mayo. Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, since Cinco de Mayo is a holiday that I do not celebrate or recognize, I thought I'd share a couple little aspects of it. Recently, I was listening to another radio station, and they were talking with a head honcho from Corona Beer, and they were discussing the origin of what we have here in America called Cinco de Mayo. First of all, it's not recognized as a holiday in Mexico. Never has been. He talked about how Corona Beer created the holiday in order to promote the sale of Mexican food and beer.
Yeah, it's like the biggest guacamole use on
I heard
the.
it was Dos Equis, but I guess I'm wrong.
What?
That Dos Equis created it, but yeah.
Either way, yeah. But you know what, Ken? Here's what I like. When we talk about cultural appropriation, right? Celebrating Mexican culture of their food, which I love. If I had to pick one food, it might be Mexican food. And I like tequila. I'm sorry, I love tequila.
That's cultural appropriation, man.
And I like Mexican beers. I don't know that I like them any better than the craft beers we have in Michigan. But you know what's nice about that particular holiday, even though there's like no real holiday, it's a manufactured one. It increases business, it gets sales up, it gets taxes up. So it's one of those good things, and we're taking one of the better parts, I think, of that culture, their food, their festivity, whatever.
And eventually the feds will get it off.
Right?
Eventually the feds will have that day off, too. Well, we had today off.
Well, one aspect of the holiday that doesn't get talked up much is they said that holiday, they came up with a small little battle where the Spanish beat a group of French soldiers. And one thing that I like to point out is now I happen to be partially French, and one statement that I've made to a bunch of Mexicans, and I've also made this to a lot of Mexicans from time to time, is Mexico, with Cinco de Mayo, they celebrate here the defeat of the French by the small army of Spanish soldiers, Mexico today would have been better off if the French kicked their butt and if France had defeated the Spanish in Mexico. I mean, look at Montreal.
That could be one of those alternate universe Netflix shows, Ken. Maybe we should look into that. You know, they like doing that alternate universe thing. Well, as always, Ken, great call, man. I love that historical perspective you can put on things.